Mm.
Power scaling and elitism with anime. So, I notoriously, and I'm known for this, I despise the power scaling community so deeply, it's almost vitriolic. I despise it. I hate it so much because one of the most prevalent power scalers, Seth the Programmer. I don't know if you know who Seth the Programmer is.
I do. Yeah.
He had some allegations come out about him not too long ago. Turns
Mm.
out that didn't even slightly affect him. Still getting brand deals. Matter of fact, the person that called him out is actually editing his videos. They had a stream together recently, Clyde the Weeaboo. I was like, oh, I guess they squashed it, but what about the victims? Nobody cares about that. So here's what I discovered. I go through the comments, I read through the entire thing. We don't care about his allegations. We want to know how strong Goku is. We don't care about the allegations. Can Naruto beat Luffy? We don't care. Like, that's all it is. Right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
now that I was like, okay, they're just here for the content. Separate the art from the artist. I do that. That's fine and dandy. But also, I'm noticing in the power scaling community, they'll think you're a piece of garbage if you think slightly different than them. And it's
Mhm.
not fun anymore. It used to be my dad could beat your dad. Now it's my army can take out your entire civilization, you worthless piece of garbage. It's bad.
Mhm.
Do you feel the power scaling community in that special niche within the anime community is disrupting the entirety of the anime community in its whole? Do you think it's disrupting it? Do you think it's destroying it?
Um, that's a great question. Um, Coming from me that covers a lot of power scaling content.
Yes.
I I I love having power scaling debates. Because the way I view it is I view it from a sports lens, right? And like I said, I'm obviously a big basketball fan. Obviously, as you pointed out earlier, so me talking about Michael Jordan, LeBron, Kobe Bryant, like I don't see any difference than me talking about Luffy, Naruto, and Ichigo, right? It's just bringing up their stats, bringing up what they've done, their feats, and having a conversation. But what I think is wrong, or I guess dangerous with the power scaling community, is when people take it personally outside of what's being discussed, right? You could say, I disagree. I think Naruto beats Luffy, or I think Luffy beats Naruto, and keep it on the anime. Keep the topic that you're discussing about the anime and the manga itself. Once you start to go outside of that and say, oh, well, you're short, you suck, you failed your test. Now it's like we're not power scaling anymore. Now you're attacking people's family. Now it's going to the point where people are getting doxxed. It's too much. It's too much. Keep it anime. Keep it on the manga. And that's why I feel like power scaling by itself is not necessarily always dangerous. It's that people it's really the people that try to debate that really should not be debating, because not everybody is, and I'm sure you know this as well. You can't have a conversation or an argument with everybody, right? There's people that you can talk to, and it's like even though they disagree, they'll be willing to have a conversation about it, and we can go our separate ways, agree to disagree. Not everybody follows that same thought, and there's a lot of people out in the power scaling community that suffer from groupthink, right? There's a certain way where power scaling has been, conducted for many, many years. And a lot of power scalers stick to that same rule, right? It's like a code of conduct. Like, this is how power scaling is. If Goku can bench 2 planets, he's automatically stronger than anybody else that can't bench 2 planets. And, he beats everybody that can't do it. And then you have to kind of come in and say, well, hold on. There's hacks that come into it, right? There's different abilities. There's different fighting styles, right? There's different opponents that they faced. Certain things like this person may have bigger muscles and they may be able to punch a mountain, but this person has the ability where every time they blink, the person stops breathing for 1 second. Like, then you have to try to factor those things in. But like certain power scalers, like don't care about any of that. It's no, I bench 2 planets, I win, right? So it's just like I don't think power scaling is bad overall, but there's people in power scaling and just really in all communities in general. But power scaling is really the one that gets like the lens on it the most, because that's where the most debates are happening.
Yeah, because
Um,
the prevalent people are there. Like you in essence are very wholesome when someone disagrees, and that is so kind. Like, I've watched you on Brago's thing, I've watched you on JD Legends things, I've watched you do things like, I'm like, okay, yeah, he's respectable, you're doing things, and then I'll witness somebody be like, "Oh, that's a fallacy. You're just the R word. You're just stupid." I'm like, "Whoa, what? Why did you?" It was like, "That's just R word, or you're an F." Like, why are you saying the F slur? Why do you bring that up? It's
Yeah.
it's very, and whenever I see that, I'm like, "Oh, this person must not have a big following." Nope, it'll be like 1 million subscribers, and I'll be like, and then the whole comments are like, "Yeah, he's spitting, mostly likes." I'm like, "Is this?" And I'll think to myself, "Okay, is this like a niche of people, or is this most people because he's huge?" Like, if you are the big face of a community and people see that, they're not gonna look at somebody like me or you who have less than this person has 1 million. They're gonna look at that person and be like, "This is power scaling." I see. It's very toxic. It's strange.
hmm
Uh,
And that's really that's the culture that's been created. Like I said, because the people that are sitting at the top, they set the precedent for how people even have these types of debates, right? This is what created the whole, if you're having a type of debate, all right, now you got to pull up the scans, right? Like, these are the certain things that have been created, right? And I feel like where my channel came in is even though I love, anime and manga and, talking about who's stronger than who, I wanted to bring a different method of evaluating these characters. And some people embraced it, and some people were like, hell nah, we're sticking with the old method. This dude is a madman. He's crazy. We're never watching his videos again. It comes with the territory. I don't have an issue with it. And I always tell myself and the viewers that watch my channel, I'm like, listen, I'm not coming on here telling you I know everything and whatever. I'm like, I'm cool with being wrong, right? This is what we have a debate for. Like, I could tell people like, oh, I think this person beats this person, and somebody could say, Rob, like, I was with you until you said that because that character showed this in chapter whatever, whatever, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, like you're right. And I'm no stranger to being wrong. Like, it's life. Like, we're humans. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna make mistakes. Like, I'm not. I don't know everything. And my channel it was supposed to be, and it still is, a debate channel. Right? It's having conversations with everybody, even the IRL tier list that I do at conventions. Right? That was a thing where I made a tier list of my friends, and everybody was in the comments. You guys are stupid. You guys don't know how to do tier lists. Da 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 da. I said, okay, I'll bring the tier list to y'all. And I brought it to them, and they ended up doing worse than what we did, right? So it's like, so it's like, at the end of the day, it's like I'm a person where I'm open to give that person the mic. Here, like, if I'm a madman, here, let's see what you have to say. And a lot of people like start to realize, like, oh snap, like, it's not as easy to do what we're doing. You know what I mean? So I feel like more people are starting to realize that, like, let's hear this person out, let's hear Rob out, let's hear whoever out, and that's what I really want it to be. Like, even if you disagree, still have, the patience to hear what other people think, and then you can rebuttal, and it should always stay on the subject matter. Always, never take it outside of it. Nothing should be getting personal about fictional characters fighting each other. You know what I mean? It should never go outside of that ever.
I think that's where because it used to be like my dad could beat your dad stuff, right? That's how it was, and I was
hmm
I was cool with that because I was in the argument one time. It was like, who do you think is stronger, Cell or Deborah? And I'm like, probably Deborah. I was like, really? But Cell showed to do. I'm like, yeah, but Cell's in Deborah. My only logic was Deborah was in the Boo saga, and Cell is not. That was it. I
Yeah.
was like, I think Gohan is at least stronger than he was as a teenager, and they're like, no, he's actually weaker. Vegeta said so. I'm like, oh, I forgot about that. Well,
Right.
I
And
I
that's what it is.
I was
And that's
like,
yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. And it was like, where's your show? Pull it up in the Daijenshu. And I'm like, what word is that? What'd you say to me? And then I was like, the Daijinsu. I'm like, that's not a word. You just making up words. I can make up words too. Smooga What are you saying? Like, it doesn't make any sense. And I'll see this mentality so often. I'll see like this happen so much. And it messes me up because it's the same exact people that do the power scaling that will say the other argument of, because my girl, she loves Demon Slayer. It's like her favorite thing. She only watches Demon Slayer and I think Eminence and Shadow. Those are like the she loves.
Mhm.
And we went to an anime convention. And she was like, "Oh, it's Tanjiro." I'm like, "No, that's Goku." It's Tanjiro. Like, "No, that's Naruto." Tanjiro's everywhere. And I'm like, "Babe, that's not. Those other people." And they'll ask her because she was dressed up as I made her dress up as Abba from Guilty Gear. I made a key
Mhm.
for her and everything because Guilty Gear is one of my favorite games, and I was dressed as a character called Happy Chaos. And they asked her a question about the character she was dressed as. She was like, "I don't know who this is." And they said she was a fake anime fan. One, this is from a video game. Two, she only watches Demon Slayer. Three, she likes anime because she likes Demon Slayer. And people will think you're less of an anime fan because you'll only watch something like, oh, Demon Slayer, or I've only ever seen Cowboy Bebop, which is I met somebody like that. That was like, that's cool. Or somebody
Right.
only watches Studio Ghibli films. Hey, you're one of us. Do you think that like elitist mentality detracts people from even wanting to be affiliated with a large part of like public anime?
Um, that it can. Um, and I feel like that's gonna be something where it's gonna be harder to keep up those types of things, right? I think maybe if you want to say like maybe 5, 10 years ago, it was a little bit easier for people to, gatekeep and say, you haven't watched this show, you haven't watched that show. Like, you need to watch those shows first before you come around. But now, what's going on? Like, there's a new show every week. Like, at this point, like, you can't even keep it up because the people that are trying to uphold those certain standards are not keeping it up themselves. So I think it's a thing where there's anime out there where it's if you want to be able to have more conversations, you definitely tackle those popular ones, the big three: One Piece, Naruto, Bleach, Dragon Ball and stuff like that. But if you're not into it, it does not make you any less of an anime fan. It just means that you're limiting yourself to having conversations with people that have only seen that one particular show that you're a fan of. If you try to talk about other stuff, it's going to be hard because you don't know really what's going on, and then you're going to get spoiled. So as long as you're cool with not getting spoiled, then some people are like that though. They're like, "Oh, it spoiled me. Like I'm never gonna read One Piece. I'm never gonna watch it. Like what's going on right now?" Like there's some people that are cool with that, but then other people are just like, "No, don't tell me anything." And it's like, well, if you only watched one anime, it's like, we can only talk about that one anime. So
It's scary.
that's
It's scary because
yeah.
I had a friend who was like, "Yeah, I watch a bunch of anime," and he listed. He said Trigun, Inuyasha, Cowboy Bebop, Zatch Bell, IGPX, Fullmetal Alchemist, Naruto, One Piece, Bleach, and another one of my friends was like, "Oh, those are the basics." I'm like, that man just listed a repertoire.
Yeah, no,
he's a syllabus of anime. That man has watched Zatch Bell. What are you talking about? That
Zatch,
man's
yep.
seen Mare. I'm not
Yeah,
questioning.
yeah.
I'm not questioning his repertoire when he's seen IGPX. I don't even remember Prince of Tennis, and he keeps talking about it. Why is he's like, yeah, but that's just Toonami stuff. Everybody's seen that stuff. What about my bunny got reincarnated as a dog? Like what? And that's a real anime, by the way. I didn't know that.
And then I didn't know that either. I think it's just so there's a kind of thing out there where people feel like shonen anime is kind of like the McDonald's. It's kind of like the everybody's on it. It's popular, but it's like the quick fast food. So like everyone kind of has this mentality of like, oh, like, well, I watched this one slice of life that no one heard of, and it's a 10 out of 10. So it's like I know more than you. But like it was like I was saying earlier, right? The same people that have this elitist mentality are now in a stage where one, they got to start watching more of the fast food because the fast food, there's 20 more fast food restaurants that are dropping every week. And two, even in those different genres, right? You could talk about expanding your palette, going into romance, comedy, anime, slice of life, and those things. Even with that, there's still new anime in those different genres as well, coming out every single week. At some point, they can't watch everything. We can't watch everything. The person that's just getting into anime can't watch everything. So, what really tends to happen is when newer fans are coming into the space, like even Kev on stage, he did it the right way. He's like, I want to get into anime. I don't know what to start with, how to start, blah blah blah. As people said, hey, check this one out. He said, okay, and now He's on JJK. He watched all of Attack on Titan. He
Yeah.
watched One Piece. And it's a thing where he's going to be able to have those types of conversations with people now, right? Because people are giving him the shows that are being the most talked about, so he can at least have conversations with a lot of people that have seen it already, because that kind of gives you the community aspect. No one's going to be like, yo, go watch this slice of life that's a 10 out of 10 that only 3 people have seen. Even if you think the show is a banger, from a community aspect, how is he going to be having conversations with everybody? Like, he can't, because it's not that, it's not that well known. Even though you hold it dear to your heart and you love it, it's a 10 out of 10, but that elitist mentality is not going to work. You know what I'm saying? At this
No.
stage in the game, it's just not going to work.
Because I remember one of my friends is like, what anime should I watch? And I said One Punch Man. I just immediately said, I was like, One Punch Man is the best anime to get into. If you're starting anime off, I recommend One Punch Man immediately. And he said, okay. He came back to me and said, yeah, I just got done watching Lando Illustrious. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I was like, what? And then
Yeah,
what about
later,
One
let's
Punch
just.
Man? He was like, yeah, Lando Illustrious is really good. And he's pointing out something to me because I had never seen it before. I watched it by myself and I was like, it was pretty good. He said, but did you notice? And I said, notice what? We watched the first episode. This man pointed out something I never noticed. Every time a character steps, because they're made of rocks, the sound design is that they're rocks. I was like, what? And every time they stepped, I was like, and he was like, yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I love about it so much. I'm like, oh. And I was
yeah,
happy because he just went off on his own tangent, didn't listen to me. And I was like, dang, okay. Wow, you got me. He was like, yeah, I didn't watch One Punch Man yet though, and I was like, that's fine. This is way better. This is much better than what I was thinking. This caught me off guard.
yeah,
It's moments like those where I get excited. So I kind of want people to get into it by themselves almost. I don't want to direct them in some capacities because it feels almost disingenuous to do that to some people.
yeah. 100%, 100%.
And with that being said, that is the topics I wanted to discuss. How'd you feel about how'd you feel about everything?
Nah, great questions, man. Great questions all around, bro. Yeah, I feel like we tackled, the main stuff for sure.